We had one pulled out from when my mum was a young girl in the 1970s, and my grandma was narrating each photo. When we turned the page, I pointed at an older lady in a green sweater and a big
ass.
And a big ass.
Big
And-
ass.
You can see it on Spotify if you're looking at it. Old wife and slippery dick. That's me. Old wife, slippery dick. Well, I think we've got the name for the episode. She wedged a chair under the doorknob and clutched a chicken nut. Listen, get your chicken knife and go to bed.
I thought you said chicken nugget.
She's got a
She
chicken nugget.
grabbed her chicken nugget. Welcome to our episode
133
133
of Ghost Huns.
Hello, Huns. This is Hannah here from Ghost Huns. We're on our bullshit again, and we've got the bloody number of the episode wrong. It's actually 134. Kind regards. Enjoy the episode.
Oh,
With me,
my thumb hurty. Thumb hurty.
and her,
Suzie.
where we tell the world's spookiest stories. We get haunted, so you don't know. I am hanging out of my ass.
You're hanging out your asshole.
Were you not pissed last night?
No.
Not at all, really.
No, weirdly, because I turned up quite early because I just wanted to like see who was there.
Yeah.
Found the big K quiz. And I had that Maximo wine. It was lovely.
It's really nice.
But I just didn't until the end, and then by the end it was a bit late.
Yeah, fair. I feel
And lovely Karen,
horrible.
Mother of Grace,
Yeah,
brought me a chalice of wine.
I think
said,
Kieran drank that.
I said, "Can I have this small wine?" She went, "Oh yeah, sure," and then gave me a bucket, and I was like, "Karen, you're very naughty." Karen, I know you're listening, and you're very naughty.
I think Kieran drank it.
Did
in the
he?
End, which
How's
was,
he
was
feeling?
good.
He must
I
be
don't
hanging
know.
out of his butthole.
Yeah, we were both pretty drunk. I was sending messages about mortgages, drunk. Accuracy. I've had
Bit of fun though, wasn't it?
Really similar situation today that what you had yesterday with the pushing.
Oh, tell me.
The anger. I think
Yeah.
your story had the anger already laying in there.
Yes.
So that when it happened to me,
You're ready to go.
I fucking turned.
Yeah, primed like
And I
a
was walking
spring.
up. I was walking up to Spotify
Yeah.
on, like the little bank.
I do, yeah.
Quite a small pavement.
Yeah.
Small. It's enough for two people to walk by.
Yes.
This fucking barrage of people
Mm.
turned up on like the pavement. They're walking in fucking twos next to each other. They pushed me
off.
into the gate and I turned around and went, Jesus Christ!
Well done.
Thank you. And they were like, oh, I was like, which way you fucking going?
Yeah.
You fucking morons.
What did they say?
They were just like, oh, I was like, you're an idiot. You're
Yeah.
morons. You're a waste of skin and breath.
It's it's not even that they're
You're
moronic.
just a big bag of shit.
I think they're arrogant.
I think they're morons.
Because do you? Because I feel like morons lets them off.
They were kind of like, what's the problem?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, you don't have a
see
brain
them, but
cell.
it's because when people see you as invisible and they just wander down the street,
know.
and it's like you're not there, and
Or
unless
like
you
you'll
actually
sort it
pipe
out.
up,
Yeah, it's so annoying.
you have to pipe up.
Yeah, I did. I was like, Jesus!
Yeah.
And then before I was on, and then I went to, before I got, this annoyed me as well. Before I got into the tube station, this homeless man was like, oh, have you got any money? I went, no, but do you want me to buy you like a sandwich from the shop? And he went, I'd rather have some fags. I was like, I can't afford fags, mate.
Yeah.
Of it, like, and then I went, well, I'm not buying your fucking fags,
It's
bye.
so funny when they do an upgrade.
I was like, I'm just trying to.
I would prefer a bit of crack.
Yeah,
and
and I
you're
was
like,
like-
for God's sake.
I wasn't even being condescending about it. I was like, do you want, I'll get you a sandwich. I haven't got any money. And he was like, fags. I was like, fuck off.
Yeah.
And a lighter.
Lol. Yeah.
I was absolutely raging.
I know.
I prefer a bit of crack. Yeah, it's
The
infuriating.
chuggers know not really to bother me. Like, and they're like, lady with the glasses.
Oh,
and I'm like,
fucking
don't
cannot.
give me those false compliments. Because
No.
also that wasn't a compliment. He was like, lady with the glasses. And I went, like, just because I have sunglasses on. I was
Right,
like, you
'cause
could have
it's
said the
sunny.
nice ones.
Yeah, you prick.
Yeah, prick. But
yeah,
they
they've
do
quite
get on my
annoying.
tits, but they don't really go. Like, I think I have resting anger face.
I would just really like it if they were like, have you got any money? And then I go, no, or I go, yeah, I actually have.
Yeah.
And then we part ways. That's fine. Don't give me the fucking spiel.
I know.
Is it bad that we're just complaining about people begging for money on here when
No.
just two privileged white women?
No, but it's not that. It's actually
It's not the beg.
Like, if you look at the intention of what we're talking about, it's actually the people who are being paid.
Please look at the intention.
Like 20 quid an hour to bother people about like signing up.
Too much.
Well, it is too much. And also their tactics are a bit like...
Love your dress. Love your track. I've got tracksuit bottoms on, you nutter.
Girl, I like your vibe.
Yeah, I like your vibe.
Oh, please, you
like
don't like my vibe. I'm raging.
I've literally got socks and sliders on.
Yeah.
I've got tracky bottoms. And I don't think these socks
Put that
match.
up again. What colour are those socks?
Well...
Yeah, they used to be white.
They used to be white.
Those are your hungover socks, aren't they?
Well, they're my only clean... I'm going back to Stoke tomorrow and they're my only clean pair.
You can afford a new pair of those socks.
I've got
They've got a hole in them.
I haven't. They have
You've worn them down to a nub.
Do you know what's funny is that I actually have an ridiculously large amount of socks.
Vagina.
Ridiculously large clitoris. I have so many socks, it's obscene.
Well, then what are you doing
I've
wearing those?
Well, I just grabbed and shoved in, so I didn't know what I had. And normally no one sees them, so I wasn't that bothered. But today, I was like, I can't. I feel so fragile that even putting shoes
your socks.
on.
I'm sorry, you're fragile.
No, it's fine.
But,
it's fine.
You know.
I was fragile, and I was like, I can't wear shoes.
Well,
I've just got to go like this because I couldn't bear the idea.
Yeah.
Every bit of me hurts.
What did you drink? Like,
I drank everything. I had. I started off with 2 wines, and then I had.
You had red wine at one point.
I had red wine. I had 2. I started off with 2 wines. Then I had 3 Amaretto sours, 2 Long Island iced teas, a glass of red wine, and then ended up with another 2 glasses of white wine.
Fuck me.
It's bad.
At one point at the end, we were all sat in a circle, and there's like 7 of us. And you were just in the corner muttering into your phone. And I was like, she
That was
voice
the
noting.
mortgage thing.
Yeah, I was like, what is she doing? Like, everyone was going quiet for someone telling a story. And then you're just like fucking Miss Antisocial in the corner being like, like a gremlin. And I was like, what the fuck's happened to like
I'd really
broken
lost my mind.
Tamagotchi in the corner? I was like,
lost my
jeez. Yeah.
Well, I think at that point I knew I needed to leave. Because that's what happens these days is I'm like, 1 minute, I'm like, and then I go, I've got to go.
Yeah.
I have to go home. I can't handle this anymore. And then I went to bed and woke up this morning ravenous.
Really?
I've been thinking about starting adult colouring. What do you think?
What?
Adult colouring.
Like a colouring book?
Yeah.
I really don't like that idea.
I don't like that for you.
I don't support you.
I feel
what
like...
do you mean?
Well, I like my relaxing time.
Yeah.
And I watch shit TV.
Yeah.
But like that you can do other things while you're watching it because it's so shit.
Yeah.
So I thought that I'd get an adult colouring book.
That's nice.
But they do like proper shading.
Okay.
Yeah,
do
like
you think you'd like
colour.
that?
I'm really unsure. I believe I might do a quarter of it.
Okay.
Like a quarter of
do
a
you mean you
page
get
and then get
yourself
bored.
some crayons or something?
Yeah. Well, I keep these fucking adult colouring Facebook groups keep popping up on my phone. And I really
And
fancy
the
it.
algorithm knows you.
Yeah,
better
and
than
now
you
I
know
really
yourself.
fancy it because it's like they have like colouring books that are like self-care and it's pictures of women like just doing their skincare and you colour them in and it looks really good to me.
Okay, I don't want to shit on any of your dreams. If that's you
Wouldn't
go
call it
for
a dream, but I did price it up as a hobby and it's like 30 quid.
What per what?
Well, for a colouring book and the proper crayons.
£30 for a fucking colouring book? Are you mad?
And felt
Are
tip
you mad?
pens. And well, that's why I haven't done it. Because I'm like, I can't.
That is
that's
fucking
mad.
insane.
Yeah.
I'm going to
But there's
say
these colouring pens where you can do the white on top, you know what I mean, to make like it look shiny. Like they're proper colouring pens. They're professional colouring pens.
okay, they've really got you.
I can be sold fucking anything. Honestly,
Jesus
it's
Christ.
ridiculous.
Well, you know what? You do you.
I won't now.
No.
I probably will, to be fair. I'll
feel-
probably get them. I've been thinking about it for a while.
Yeah.
I'm in the market for them.
So my brother was telling me that it's a symptom of ADHD that you can't sit down and just like focus on a series or a film.
No, I need something to be...
And I can't. And I was like, does that
We
mean...
haven't got ADHD.
Well, no, but I just cannot bring myself, just by myself doing my own thing, to sit and watch anything fully through.
No.
I have to be really specific about what it is, but it's hardly anything.
I usually
You're really
save.
good at going through series, and I'm like,
Yeah, but I do it while I'm doing other things.
yeah, but a part of me is like, you managed to do all these. I just literally cannot. Like, what is that?
I will save all of my mundane tasks to do while I'm watching TV. So all my
I don't know
invoicing.
how you do that. I have to focus.
Or no, because I don't. I just listen to it. I don't watch anything, and then I wander off for a bit. I'll do the cleaning in Adam's flat because it's all in fucking. It's basically all one space except for the bedroom and the bathroom. So I'll do all that. I'll do the pottering about. If I'm tired and I want like a little snooze, I'll do that while I'm watching a series, and I'll just wake up, and then it's, you know what I mean. So I do tend to do it as I'm doing other things.
I've got a recommendation of a podcast that Danny Robbins put out.
Why is it?
It's called, and actually I'm quite intrigued by it, you know. Where is it?
Dying.
I don't know how you seem all right considering the hell.
I've had a salt beef bagel today.
Have you?
It was fucking
Well
delicious.
done.
And I had a Spanish iced latte.
What does that mean?
It's just condensed milk, and it was beautiful.
Ooh, this is quite nice. This is yerba mate, which is like some sort of mint and lemon. It's a bit like a mojito, but without alcohol.
Do you know, I really like ASMR. I do. I like people eating and drinking things. What's that mean? Is that kinky?
Yes, it's kinky as fuck. So this
I like
is
people eating and drinking things over me while I'm being barreled and rimmed. While I'm being hung from the chandelier with an apple in my mouth.
So this is called a this is a podcast, recco, called Broken Veil. And it's basically like, I think there's only about 6 episodes, but it's just tons of ghost stories, and it follows a different pattern.
I'm not listening to that.
No, it's not like us. It's very much not.
I'm not listening to that shit.
Yeah, okay. Right.
And if any of you do
We're
either,
singing from a very different hymn sheet today, aren't we?
Yeah, if any of you lot do, I'll fucking kiss.
No. I think... Oh my God, do you know
please
what?
do.
Please have a look at it. It's called Broken Veil, and it's one of the lads who's in it, or who's like made it, is the guy who wrote it's Will someone or other who wrote The Apparition Phase, which is a really good ghosty book.
Oh right.
So I do recommend it. His name's Will McLean, and he wrote The Apparition Phase, and Joel Morris also got involved in it, and he did Charlie Brooker's wipe of his ass.
Arse
So yeah,
we all went there, didn't we?
so that's a nice little segment.
Shall I pick a tarot?
Yeah, go on. And just really like throw a few and see if one turns over. I feel like that's a new... Are you fucking... What is wrong with you? The fuck is wrong with you? She threw them everywhere like a fucking, like, angry
Like
child.
an angry baby. That was a bit much. I do apologise. I didn't expect it to do that. But this is the
which
one.
one do you want?
No, that one was the closest to me.
God, I just don't want to clean
Looks
that up.
like Peter Dinklage in the Game of Thrones.
Right, what? How many pentacles?
4.
4.
You look that up. I'm going to clean up after myself.
Yeah, they're good for you. Oh yeah, we've never had that one.
It looks like Peter Dinklage, isn't it?
Oh, it
Good.
signifies a young person, naive and pampered, who's been left on an estate.
What?
Oh, left an estate.
What does that mean?
Think conscientiously about all those people whom your activities impact, including whose work and effort went into building what you inherited, and those whose welfare depends on your right management. What you have been given is abundant. Still, it is not without limits. If you're prudent and responsible, the endowment will grow. However, if you're frivolous or foolish, your behaviour could undermine both your inheritance and the well-being of others who are connected to it.
What's a load of shit?
Did you have it upside down?
No, I believe it was the right way up.
Yeah, it's that there. It's the suit that expresses the paradoxical aspect of material security.
I haven't
being
received
well
any material
supported
security.
and protected. But this is interesting because you're about to go into mortgage territory, so it's all about like, do you know what I mean? Like, don't be foolish. It's
Don't
saying
be
with your
foolish
money,
with
it's saying
it.
don't fritter away what money you have
Right.
because you have important things to
Like a mortgage.
consider. Yeah.
Yeah, so stop spending money on adult colouring books.
Yes, it says it sounds completely idyllic until one investigates the real demands that prosperity places on people, the pressure of big decisions, responsibilities towards dependents or employees, and even tougher decisions in times of insecurity.
That could be all to do with adult colouring.
Yeah, I think just don't do it.
Don't
Just
buy
focus
the
on
colouring book.
Focus
is what
on
you're
the bigger
saying.
things, yeah.
I completely agree.
So anyway,
Great.
So my thinking for this episode is, hear me out. There's a longy that we've been sent, Creep of the Week, and it's a really goodie, and it spans like lots of different family members, and it's one that you'd really get into. Like you'd tuck yourself in bed, and you'd have like a. He looks so sad. She's so sad.
Are we just doing one story for the whole episode?
No, I'm just saying that if I do one, I would just do one, and I would do that. But then I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, sure.
But you go first. Have you got one? Have you got a nice story, Worry?
She woke to the sound of something in the walls.
Oh no.
At first, Claire assumed it was... Claire is such a basic bitch name, but we love you, Claire, if you're listening. Claire assumed it was the house settling, her grandmother's old Victorian, the kind with heavy wood beams and hollow-sounding floors. After her grandmother died, Claire had moved in to renovate the place, thinking the isolation would be therapeutic. But lately, she wasn't sleeping well.
She what?
She wasn't sleeping well.
Oh.
She weren't sleeping well, bitch.
She got leave into the sleeping realm.
It started with a note. I thought it was going to be sick then. Folded neatly and tucked between the pages of a book she'd never opened. I like it when you sing while you cook.
Oh dear.
She froze. She hadn't sung aloud in years, not even under her breath. The next note appeared in the bathroom mirror. Your neck looks fragile when you sleep.
Oh, that's really vile.
It's giving me goosebumps.
No.
There was no signature, no explanation, just a whisper of graphite written in cursive, so neat that it looked practical. Fucking piss off with your descriptions.
Yeah.
Feminine almost, but she knew that it wasn't hers. She called the police. Well, you would, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
That's the most.
That's a good decision.
I'm glad, because most of these stories are like, I'll just keep going about my life.
It's about like 15 minutes in, and then they're like, and then the end. I
they're
decided to
like,
call the police.
well, I just went to bed.
Yeah.
And went to sleep.
I just thought I'd go to the basement.
I just thought I'd put myself in the most vulnerable position possible, given the fact that somebody is definitely in my home. She called the police. They found nothing. No signs of forced entry, no prints, but hers. That night, she wedged a chair under the doorknob and clutched a chicken nut. Listen, get your chicken knife and go to bed.
I thought you said chicken nugget.
She's got a chicken nugget.
She grabbed her chicken nugget.
I would grab a chicken nugget before bed, but not for a weapon. A chicken... My mum's got these scissors that she calls the chicken scissors, which is what she uses to cut up raw chicken.
Right.
How mental is that? If anyone... She's like, get the chicken
It's quite
scissors.
safe, though, because at least she knows...
Scissors. No, but she uses them for everything else.
Oh.
She just has named them the chicken scissors. Oh, my fringe needs a trim. Get the chicken scissors.
The idea of this Claire grabbing a chicky nuggy.
Oh, yeah.
Chicky nuggy.
A chicken nuggy.
Grab a chicky nuggy.
Chicken nuggy.
To help with the serial killing.
Anyway, she didn't do that, but she did grab she wedged a chair under the doorknob and clutched a kitchen knife and put it under her pillow. But that didn't help. The next morning, the knife was gone, and in its place on the pillow was another note. That's not how this game works. Claire checked every inch of the house. All the windows were locked. The basement door creaked with disuse. Dust untouched, but the attic, she hadn't checked. The attic. She climbed the ladder with her phone flashlight trembling in her hand. At first, all she saw were boxes and cobwebs. Then, in the far corner, something caught the light. A mattress, a used plate, empty water bottles, a mirror. Someone's fucking frogging.
Yeah, it's the frogging again.
Oh, this makes me feel ill. And above the mirror, written in charcoal on the wooden beam, I'm always behind you.
Ew,
Oh, I hate it so much. I hate it.
No.
Oh, God. She turned. Nothing. Just her own panicked breath. But that night, he spoke. You have such a graceful way of moving. The voice rasped through the vent above her bed. Then he says, like a cat. Voldemort's arrived. Like a cat.
You have a graceful way of moving like a cat.
I would be quite complimented, actually, if someone said that to me.
I've always wanted my spirit animal to be a cat. And
Have
it's just
you?
not.
Why is it not?
Because I'm a rat.
What? Why are you a rat? You
I'm
could
a
be
rat.
a cat.
I'm a defo rat.
What, like a...
Yeah, I rat around.
Because you rat about. You do
I
rat
rat
about a bit.
about. I'm
Yeah,
a
you
ratter.
do. Yeah, you can. You go like a bit of like...
Yeah, I'm definitely more rodent than I am feline.
Yeah, it's the grabby.
Grabby.
You're grabby and you're punchy.
And the whiskers.
Yeah, I can see it now.
Yeah.
In a nice way.
I'm the Ice Age one.
I think you're
Burying
like
my
the
nuts for
Ratatouille one.
That's a nicer one. No, I don't mind the Ice Age one.
I don't recall.
You know, Scrat.
No.
You know, right at the beginning of Ice Age where it's burying its nut.
That's a squirrel.
And then it goes... Yeah, it's a squirrel and a rat. Scrat.
What do you mean it's a squirrel? It's a
It's
squirrel.
called Scrat because it's squirrel and rat.
Oh, I see.
Yes, and
that's a nice
I've
squirrel.
never related more to an animal. And it's like... And then it goes... Whack, 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 whack. And
Yeah,
then it goes,
yeah.
"Ooh."
Actually, you're right. That is
Yeah.
100. You cannot be anything else.
What
yeah,
is
no, you're
yours?
correct.
What's yours?
What's my spirit animal?
We've done this, I'm sure. Of course we have.
How
I
do
can't remember.
How am
our
I supposed to find out
conclusions.
what my spirit animal is?
I'll do that at the end as we get haunted.
I suppose something quite barrelly, like who bumbles about and really loud. Like what could it be? Could it be a badger?
It's not birdie. You're not
It's
avian.
not, I'm not a bit. No, I haven't got the facial.
But you're not
structure for
rodent
it.
either. You're not avian or rodent.
I'm a frog.
You're not feline. Yeah, you could be.
I'm not. Frogs aren't loud enough, really.
Water-based. You would be something water-based.
Yeah, water-based seal. No, I don't think there is. I'm a bit more like. Oh, I don't know. It's very difficult, isn't it?
What
Very
makes noise in
hard.
the water?
What about a? What about like a seal? What when it's no? What could I be? Please don't send in your comments actually, because they will just offend.
What about that one that's got like a dick on his face?
Yeah, that's the one. What's that
Dickhead.
called?
That
A
dickhead one.
I'm a dickhead.
No, do you know the one? It's like it's quite rare in South America, and it's called like a.
I'm so sorry for the interlude. I am going to have to check what the fish is with a dick on its face. Fish
It's not
with
fish. It's not fish.
dick. What is it then? On face.
It's sort of like a thing that wades into water. Let's have a look. I'll find it. Hang on.
Blurred fish dick. Fish dick.
Fish dick.
Blobfish actually could be potential. It's got really tiny eyes.
Yeah, to be fair.
Tim, I'm going to put that in the group. You can add that
Oh,
in.
what is it? I'm trying to think of the thing I think. But the thing is, No, I don't. The thing I'm thinking of actually probably isn't.
You can see it on Spotify if you're looking at it. Old wife and slippery dick. That's me. Old wife slippery dick. Well, I think we've got the name for the episode. Old wife slippery dick. Obsessed.
What are you on about, old wife?
That's just what it says next to that blobfish. Look. Old wife slippery dick. What's in a name?
Some biologist has called some blobfish at the bottom of the sea.
Old wife slippery dick. Obsessed with that. Okay, anyway, back in. So it said the voice came through the vents. You have such a graceful way of moving, like a cat. She didn't sleep again after that. You'd fucking leave. She began finding more notes in her shoes, under her pillow, behind the toilet tank. Don't run. I'm getting closer, and you taste like lavender.
Oh, what tastes like lavender?
Good question. Vagina.
Well, hang on.
Old fish slippery dick.
Old blobfish dick. Wait, you'd leave, Claire.
Of course you'd leave. I'm being rimmed in my sleep by a frogger.
Maybe she
I've got to
likes
go.
it.
I've got to
She-
go,
maybe she-
girl.
I gotta go.
Girl, I gotta go. We've had some good times. But my lavender asshole is not for your consumption, sir.
No one's asshole is lavender.
It's
is
a
it?
man, isn't it? We don't know, but it definitely is a man
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah.
No, did you say last night? I think I was pissed. Did you go, can someone tell me what's up with rimming?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I dreamt that.
Yeah.
Did anyone give you an... I thought I've had some weird fucking dreams. I dreamt last night that I had a really big tax issue. So boring. Did anyone give you an answer for the rimming?
What, when I said it at the comedy night?
Yeah.
No, everyone just kind of tittered and...
Yeah, it was like... No.
It was a strange vibe, wasn't it?
I could have punched them all in the face.
It was weird.
Just because they were like...
It wasn't cohesive. It wasn't
No, it was
cohesive as
strange.
it was a strange one.
Anyway,
I never know what I'm going to get that night.
I don't think anyone knows what they're going to get any time, to be fair. And most,
It's
it's
a bit of fun,
99% of the time, it's a really nice gig, so
Yeah.
that's good, isn't it? Anyway, you taste like a flower. Desperate, she installed cameras, but each morning the footage was corrupted, static at the exact moment she felt someone watching her. Then came the final note, scrawled on a bedroom wall in something thicker than ink. Shit.
Yeah, he's
Feces.
shat on the walls.
You've almost caught me. Come and find me downstairs. Shaking, she descended into the basement. The light flickered and failed halfway down. She crept in, heart hammering in her throat. There, standing in the corner, was a tall man with no eyes and a slit where his mouth should be, smiling. He didn't move, neither did she. The walls groaned, and then she noticed the mirror behind him. Her reflection was gone. It wasn't until the next morning that the neighbours complained about the smell. The police found the front door locked from the inside, and Claire was never seen alive again. But every so often, a new note appears in the neighbour's mailbox. Your neck looks so fragile while you're asleep. The end.
Don't like it.
Frogging ghost, I think.
Frogging, yeah, monster
Not
demon.
human.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
just took Claire off to be rimmed forever.
Oh, imagine.
I think
Imagine
there's
that's your
three things
fate.
that we laugh about on this podcast are rimming, arseholes and Hong Kong. It never
Hong
deviates. It never deviates.
No, it doesn't. Well, at least we sort of know our theme. Should I go for the longy?
Go for it. I was just joking. I don't care if you do it or not.
Okay.
It sounds good.
It is good.
And you can always do it in two parts.
Yeah, if I don't get
yeah.
through it. But this will be our like creep of the week of this episode.
Yes.
And it's creep of the week.
Cow.
Creep of the week.
Cow.
Creep of the week. Creep of the week. Creep of the week.
While I think about it, Tim, sorry, you're gonna have to cut this out. Sorry,
Okay.
continue.
So, this. No.
Can I eat my chicken while you do this?
Yeah, you just do what you need to do because this is going to be.
Just relax.
This is going to be a longy, my legends. So, this is from Alexandria.
Oh, Alexandria!
And Alexandria says, "Hi, ladies. I'm an avid listener all the way from Texas, and I love all your content. I'm from Texas. I thought about it for a while and finally decided to write down my own story for you to share. Sorry, it's a bit long, but it happened over the span. Oh, shut up, Suzie. Sorry, it's a bit long, but it happened over the span of many years and needs to be all tied together to make sense. No worries if you don't share on the podcast. I know it's a bit longer than most of your other stories, but if you do read it, you have to give it your best Texan accent. I won't because it's long, but hopefully that little.
Yeah, I think it would be exhausting to keep that up.
Oh, can you imagine? I also think Texas. How do they
I
sound?
thought you just said tits.
Tits.
Also tits.
My personal spooky, scary stuff. I can't actually do a Texan accent.
That was quite New Orleans.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I think it's a bit down south.
Texas is a bit more like that, but a bit more. I feel like
more
it's a
clipped.
It's a bit clipped, and it's not as. It's a bit more subtle.
Right.
Right. Texas,
Right.
Texas. I'm from Texas.
I'm from Texas.
I'm from Texas, and I got an asshole.
I got. Yeah.
I've got an. I don't mean to brag, but I got an asshole. Fuck's sake.
Okay. So, here we go. My personal spooky, scary story. Over the years, I've been told about many strange experiences my parents had with me when I was little. I used to run, giggling down the hallway in my childhood home like I was playing a game. My mum told me she would ask what I was doing, and I would tell her that I was playing with the lady in the back bedroom. At first, my mum was concerned that something malevolent was messing with her child, but as time went on, my little games with the lady in the back bedroom seemed harmless. She told me about how we went to visit her mum one day and go through old photo albums. We had one pulled out from when my mum was a young girl in the 1970s, and my grandma was narrating each photo. When we turned the page, I pointed at an older lady in a green sweater and a big
Ass.
and a big ass,
Big
and
ass.
big round glasses. That's her. That's my friend in the back room. My mum and grandma tried to play it off so as not to scare me, but they were alarmed to see that the woman I pointed out was my grandma's mother. She had been close with my mum growing up and had passed away from Alzheimer's disease before I was old enough to walk. When I remained adamant that I knew the woman in my picture, my grandma told my mum that I was what she called sensitive.
Yeah, nice.
Apparently, she grew up reporting similar events to her mum, and she told her about being sensitive. Everything was pretty much harmless. Catching a glimpse of someone no longer alive going around a corner, unexplained intuition, and my grandma personally said she grew up seeing colours glowing around people. These auras are said to reflect someone's true nature, and my grandma said that the colours were usually spot on, even with the dark auras. As I grew into a teenager, my mum and I would make jokes that our family was from The Shining and would hold up our fingers as we chased each other, shouting, "Red rum! Red rum!"
Oh, God.
That bit scared me so much in the film. Fuck.
It's a really scary film, to be fair.
It is. I know. I watched that very young. We used to talk about those years when I was younger, like a spooky Halloween story you tell little kids, but I didn't realise until stranger things happened during my adolescence. I grew up in the far eastern side of Texas, which was constantly hot, humid, and filled with infinitely tall pine trees. Growing up, my house was less than a mile from my maternal grandmother's house. We frequently drove through winding back roads to her house and then visited for hours. My grandmother, whom I called Gammy, was the personification of sunshine.
Oh.
She made everything a game and could make the worst days seem like the best days. But even though Gammy was such a joyful person, her house had always given me an uneasy feeling. I could never put my finger on it, but I knew for certain that it had something to do with the woods that surrounded her house. My two younger siblings would have sleepovers at my Gammy's house with our cousins, but I was always adamant to my mum that I never wanted to spend the night and would rather go home. My mum and Gammy knew about my little case of nyctalophobia, fear of woods at night.
Oh, well, I mean,
Stunning.
I think everyone's got
I know.
nyctalophobia.
Oh, I'd love to diagnose myself with that. But
That's like saying I've just got a really weird fear of cancer.
yeah, fear of hurting myself. They knew about that, but they never really pressed me on why I never wanted to stay once it grew dark outside. When I was around 10, my Gammy was diagnosed with stage 4 liver cancer. While she was diligent with her
Weird.
treatments and
I've just said that.
and always maintained her usual sunny disposition, her body grew tired and she passed away when I was 15.
Oh.
She was my first close experience with death of a loved one, and I was devastated. There would be no more quick drives to her house for Sunday lunch, no more extravagant decorations for every holiday. Her light had gone out and the world around grew dim.
Oh.
I know, really sad. My siblings and I spent the next few days trying to console our mum and prepare ourselves for her impending funeral. I dreaded seeing her lying in a box, cold and obviously not asleep. The day before her service at a local funeral home, I had a strange dream. I had been in this funeral home before for some unknown relative's funeral, but I'd never been to this room, the chapel. In my dream, I stood outside the doors to the chapel in a dark hallway. There was a very bright light shining through the cracks to the chapel door, and eager to get out of the ominous hallway, I opened the door and squinted my eyes instinctively. The light bulbs in the room were extremely bright, more like floodlights than regular bulbs. When I raised my arm to cover my eyes, I realised there was a person sitting in the very front pew of the chapel. I walked down the aisle toward the centre wall where the casket was supposed to lay during the service. I turned to my right towards the small figure in the pew and slowly lowered my arm. My Gammy's smiling face was beaming back at me. She was how I always remembered her. Some crooked teeth in her wide smile, her crinkled eyes, and her hair pulled back in its usual neat bun. But if you knew my Gammy, you knew there would always be some wild flyaway hairs that would get their way out of the bun. Even though she'd only passed a few days ago, it felt like years since I'd seen her. I quickly jumped onto her to curl my arms around her neck in the tightest hug I could manage. Her laugh shook in her chest as she squeezed me back. When I pulled my head back to wipe my face and look at her, I felt that same old sense of sunshine around her. She grabbed my hands and they didn't feel cold, but instead were warm and smelt of her favourite lotion. It was almost as if my brain was trying to commit every detail of my Gammy to my memory before I saw her at the funeral. I remember hearing her voice when she asked me how I was doing. I gave a tearful answer back, emphasising how much I've missed her. She looked at me sweetly as she did her familiar gesture of tucking my blonde hair behind my ears. Her smile, though, was sad. "And how's your mama?" she said, as if trying to smile to keep from crying, but the crack in her voice on the last word gave away how she really felt. My mum, the usually strong, confident woman, was completely broken. She was always determined, no matter what the odds, that my grandma would pull through it and go into remission until 2 days before Gammy passed. I watched her crumble as her own mum deteriorated in front of her, and she realised that she'd never beat her cancer. When my grandma could no longer remember who we were or where she was, my mum knew she would only have a short time left with her mum, maybe not even a day. "What am I going to do without my mum?" my mum cried on the living room floor as the gravity of it all sank in. My mum wasn't always my mum. She was my Gammy's daughter first, and she just wanted her mama like every child does when they're sad or scared. I blinked back as many tears as I could when I thought about how my mum would give anything to experience what I was at this very moment. "She's not doing so well, Gammy. I don't know if she'll ever be okay without you." I heard her sniffle and she gently raised me up to look at her with her hands cupping my face. "I need you to tell your mama something for me, okay?" she asked, and I nodded my head in her hands. "Tell your mum I love her so much and that will never go away." The thought of telling those words to my mum brought even more tears to my eyes. Now, this part's very important. Tell your mum to never go over to my house alone. And remember the conversation we had a while back on the white couch. I was confused, but she looked serious. "I'll tell her, but what does that mean?" I asked. "She'll know what I mean," she replied. Suddenly, she checked her favourite Mickey Mouse watch, as if the time mattered in a dream. "Well, our time's almost up, Zandra." Her use of my special nickname hit hard as I realised I'd never hear it again. We got up together and gave one last lingering hug, and when we pulled apart, she lifted her hand to my face, and the lights in the room became impossibly bright. When I closed my eyes, I woke up in my bed at home and began to cry. When I composed myself, I looked at the clock and realised it was 9 a.m. I knew my mum would be awake, so I walked out my room to her usual spot at the dining room table where she was sitting quietly with puffy red eyes as she drank her coffee. "Mum, I have something to tell you." She looked in my direction and told me to go on. "I don't want you to be sad, but I had a dream of Gammy last night, and there was something about it that felt real." Tears welled in her eyes instantly, but she nodded and motioned for me to continue. "She told me to tell you how much she loves you, but she also told me to tell you something that kind of confused me a bit. She said to tell you not to go over to her house alone, and to remember a conversation you had on the white couch. Does that make sense?" After I finished speaking, my mum's tears stopped, and her face grew pale. "What did you say?" she asked quietly. I reiterated my previous statement, and her eyes grew wider. I understood then that whatever Gammy had told me in the dream had been real. After another sip of coffee and a short dazed moment, my mum looked at me, suddenly serious. "Okay, after the funeral, I want you to come with me to Gammy's house. Would that be okay?" I remember what my Gammy had told me, and I agreed. The funeral was as unbearable as I imagined, but my initial shock came when I realised that the chapel room I'd never entered before was exactly like the one in my dream. Sitting with my family and feeling all the sorrow in the room was overwhelming, but my dream the night before, it kind of brought me a strange sense of comfort. After the funeral service, I rode with my mum in our SUV to my grandma's house. When we pulled in, the house seemed different, even in the daytime. My mum unlocked the front door and we walked inside. My family had not begun unpacking my Gammy's things, so her house... Packing, not unpacking.
Right.
My family had not begun packing my Gammy's things, so her house was the same as she left it. However, I couldn't help but notice an eerie silence that I'd never noticed before. My mum turned to look at me and bent down to my eye level. "Remember how you and Gammy talked about having a little extra sense about places or people?" I nodded in agreement. I remembered all the many times my Gammy and I would sit in her living room and talk about the off feelings I would get about places or people that made me want to run away as fast as I could. She reciprocated the exact same feelings, and we'd always relay our new experiences to each other. "Okay, I want you to take a bit and walk through the house alone. Turn on any light you want, but I want you to tell me what you think at the end. Is that okay?" I hated the idea of walking around the empty house, but I agreed. My grandmother's house had an addition which included an extra den and her bedroom at one of the very far ends of her house, and then you'd walk through the den to the kitchen dining room. The living room on the other end of the house included a bathroom, 3 bedrooms, and the attic entrance in the hallway. I started in my grandma's bedroom and did as my mum asked. I just walked around and felt the air in the room. Even though that was the very room where my gammy passed, nothing felt strange or off. I made my way through the additional den to the kitchen and dining room. Nothing. When I walked into the main living room, I passed the 2 white leather couches as I felt drawn to the other end of the house. I went into the hallway, into the bedroom on my left, my cousin's old bedroom. It felt uneasy. The 2 bedrooms split at the end of the hallway by the attic entrance, and it almost pulled me closer. I felt like a metal detector getting closer to buried treasure as I made my way to my uncle's old room on the left. The heaviness of the room was significantly greater than anywhere else I'd walked through, but I still knew it wasn't the final source of my increasing uncomfortable feeling. I walked to the room on the right of the split hallway, which had been my aunt's bedroom. As I crossed through the threshold, it felt like my body entered flight or fight. I could hear my heart pound in my ears and felt goosebumps manifest across my skin. This was it. The room was wrong, the heaviest of my off feelings I'd ever encountered. Despite my discomfort, I felt the need to walk around the bedroom further, trying to find the concentration of negativity. The room had 2 closets, one in the front and one in the back by the bedroom window. I opened the front closet to nothing, just old clothes. This wasn't it. I turned around and made my way past the heavily curtained bedroom window and to the back walk-in closet. When I passed the window and opened the door to the closet, I almost threw up from the raw sense of pure fear that came over me like a wave. I didn't need to linger to investigate further. This was it. I wasn't going to stand in the room a minute longer. I slammed the closet door and walked as quickly as I could out the room and back to where my mum was in the kitchen. I was careful not to turn, as I felt like I'd see what was giving me the distinct feeling of being watched. More like maliciously observed. When I reached my mum, I was in a cold sweat, and I knew she could see my panicked expression. Well, what did you think? I looked my mum directly in the eyes and I told her, I don't want to stay here, can we go to the car? My mum didn't protest. We walked out the house and climbed into our family SUV. I told my mum I wanted to wait until we were off my grandma's street to discuss what I had encountered. As we turned on the main road, she glanced at me sideways and asked, what was off, Alexandria? Her use of my full name rather than my family nickname indicated she wasn't joking in the slightest. I swallowed and stared ahead as I tried to find the correct way to describe my experience, but all I could manage was this. Mum, there's something in Nikki's room. Something very, very dark. Was all my mum responded, as we spent the rest of the short ride in silence. When we parked in our driveway, she fully turned to face me. So, it was Nikki's room. Was there anywhere else? I thought back to my walk through and remembered how my unease increased as we made my way to my aunt's room. Nowhere else, I started, but Nikki's room was where it came from. It was specifically off by the back window and closet. When I looked at my mum, all the colour had drained from her face and her eyes had widened. Okay, one night, Gammy and I were sitting on the big white couch, visiting like we always do. You were playing with your cousins and siblings in the den on the other side of the house. In the middle of our conversation about one of her new People magazines, she turned to me and said, Jules, listen to me. There's something in the house. I don't know what it is, but it's not nice. Not in the least. I knew she was serious, so I asked what she meant, and all she would tell me was where it was. Do you know what she said, Alexandria? I watched her intently, feeling like I knew what she was about to say. She said it's in Nikki's room. It comes from the window and waits in the closet. It's grim, isn't it? I felt my mouth open.
Things have to stay in the little hidey holes.
Closet, I know, it's fucking gross. I felt my mouth open slightly as my mum divulged more details. Do you remember the night Nikki called us very late and asked us to come over? My aunt had one of the house phones in her room, and she'd called my mum around 2 a.m, panicking in a whispering tone on the other end of the line. I never actually heard what she said, but my mum explained later on that my aunt was scared beyond belief because she heard something pacing heavily in the attic right above her bedroom.
Nothing good ever happens at 2 a.m.
In the attic especially. I'd just leave. My aunt was not a believer in the paranormal by any means, but that had scared her to the point that she didn't even want to get up and go to the other end of the house to wake up my grandmother. Afterwards, my mum called her mum, who got up and went to get my aunt and walk with her to sleep with her in her own bedroom. Not long after that incident, my aunt and cousins moved out. I nodded slowly to answer my mum's previous question. My mum gave her last question, which brought a sickening realisation come to light. Have you ever noticed anything about how Nikki's room was always decorated? I did notice one thing. I always have, because it never fully made sense to me. The only window in Nikki's room was always covered, whether by thick curtains and even a large armoire. It was never open to view from.
Armoire.
I whispered my answer. My mum nodded slowly. That night, I had another dream. This dream was just as vivid as the dream of my grandmother's visit and started with me driving our family SUV down my grandma's road. My mum sat in the passenger seat and I knew where we were going. My mum sat in the passenger seat and I knew we were going to the house for the express purpose of helping to clean out some items from the now vacant home. As I passed the front yard and moved to turn into the old driveway, I saw someone standing, motionless, facing towards the yard and towards the woods across the street. When I turned to see who the person was, I realised it was my gammy. But that was impossible. In my dream, I was aware that she had passed away and her house was now vacant. She didn't so much as blink as we pulled into the driveway, parallel to where she stood about 20 feet away. I turned to look at my mum, expecting to see the same look of shock, but she didn't seem to notice. When she turned to face me and say that she was just going to run in for one thing quickly, she seemed oblivious to her deceased mother in the yard behind me. When she got out the car and made her way up the stairs to the door, I turned my head to face forward out of the windshield. As my mum unlocked the door and walked inside and shut the door behind her, I saw my grandma's head turn towards me in my direction out of the corner of my eye. Continuing to pretend my lack of notice, I played with the peeling nail polish on my fingers. My panic rose as I noticed her walking in my direction, right outside of my car door. Being the cautious teenager I always was, I had locked the car door right after my mum got out. I flinched when I heard 3 small knocks on my window. I couldn't fake it anymore. My physical response to the sound at my window gave me away. I turned to my left and saw my grandmother standing outside, smiling, motioning with her small hands for me to roll the window down. I rolled my window down slightly, only a small enough space to hear a conversation. The yard next to my grandma's driveway was a slight incline, so she had to crouch slightly to speak to me through the window. She was still smiling at me, in the way she usually would, but something was different. My grandma always wore comfy clothes at home that usually included an old t-shirt, blue jean capri pants, and her favourite blue slip-on tennis shoes, but she was dressed like she normally would be, but somehow neater. Almost like all her clothes had been pressed with an iron. Her hair was the same as well. It was pulled up in her usual bun, but she was missing her usual flyaways. Everything was too perfect. Her entire appearance lacked the details of clothes that were more lived in. She was almost like a wax figurine of my grandma, bearing a close resemblance but giving the distinct uncanny valley effect. "Hey, Zan," she said, her special nickname for me in her usual high tone. "Sure is hot today, isn't it?" She pulled at the front of her shirt to act like she was fanning herself. I acted like nothing was wrong as hard as I could. I smiled back at her. "Hey, Gammy." "Yeah, I hate July." She maintained her smile and squinted her eyes at the sun. "Hey, I was just thinking about you. I have something to tell you," she said with her hands on her knees as she crouched down to my eye level. "Oh, really?" I said, faking interest. "What is it?" She shook her head slightly. "I can't hear you over the car, Zan. Can you roll the window down some more?" A chill went down my spine. Everything in my body indicated that I should run away as fast as I could, but I was trapped in the car. I shook my head back at her and made up an excuse about how I didn't want to make the car hot by letting in the summer air. It was bullshit. Not even I would have bought that excuse. "But I have to tell you something. Before your mum comes back out, it's something between you and me. Come on, roll the window down. This is silly." "I really don't want to." "Well then, get outside the car," she said, her smile gone and her face expressionless. "No, I'm not getting out the car." The fear was paralysing as I managed a last comment with a serious expression. "My gammy is dead and you're not my gammy." At that comment, the figure pretending to be my grandma paused for a split second. Then a chilling, malicious smile spread across her face as she leaned in slightly. I remember where I'd felt that gaze before. It was when I was leaving my aunt's bedroom during my walkthrough. She stuck both her hands in the space between the window and the door and forced the glass down. Sweat dripped down my face as she leant in so close to my face. "You're right. I'm not your grandmother. I'll tell you my name." I knew I was face to face with the thing my grandmother had described to my mum that was coiled up inside of her house. It mumbled its name, breathing in a low hiss, and I stared, unable to move. The name sent chills down my spine. There was no way I could have made this up in a dream, as it was a name I'd never heard before. To this day, I never say the name out loud, for fear it will call it to my present somehow. She continued to smile even wider as she continued in another rough whisper. "This is my house now, and I will go through each of the ones like your grandma until I find the weak link I've been waiting for ages." At the last word of that sentence, she gave a menacing laugh. I was frozen in complete, chilling fear. Just then I heard the front door shut and the figure pretending to be my grandmother sharply whipped her head in the door's direction. I saw my mum walking towards the car out the corner of my eye, not daring to let my face lose sight of the entity in front of me. As my mum got closer to the passenger door, the thing leant in one more time with its wild, malevolent grin. "I'll see you soon," it whispered. Just then the car door opened and I turned to my mum, screaming for her to not let the thing outside my window get me. She looked confused. "What are you talking about, Sandra? The thing that's pretending to be Gammy, right?" When I whipped my head around to point at the entity mimicking my grandmother, it was gone. My window was rolled all the way up with a layer of summer pollen lightly coating the glass, as if the window had never been rolled down in the first place. I turned forward to grip the steering wheel, trying to catch my breath. My mum gently patted my back and said in a usual gentle southern tone, "Darling, you haven't been sleeping well with all those dreams. And I told you to stay home so you wouldn't get upset. I told you I was fine going by myself." Even in the dream, I remembered my grandma's words to me the other night: never let my mum go to her house alone. Unfortunately, now I understood what her words meant. I turned my head away from my mother to look out the windshield and I screamed. Suddenly, I sat straight up in my own bed, still in a cold sweat from my dream. When I realised where I was, I noticed the time on my alarm clock in the corner, 5:55 a.m. Too terrified to move or go back to sleep, I lay back down in bed and stared at the ceiling until sunrise. End of part 1.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so the other half we'll do next week, but it gets even weirder.
Oh,
but I love this story because it's like, this is like a real story about someone who has the premonition and the sensitivity to other things.
Thank you, Alexandria.
It's like proper like psychics. Do you know what I mean?
Proper psychics, not the fake ones. It's the proper ones.
It's the proper ones.
It's the proper ones.
Did you enjoy that?
I did. I loved it.
Are you into
so much.
it?
Yeah, I can't wait to see what happens next. I didn't mean that to sound so insincere. I'm just trying to stop myself from vomiting.
Yeah, she's unwell.
You know, when I'm this hungover, I just need to keep filling myself with food.
Well, all we need to do is we get haunted.
This is very exciting. This is called Seek the Forgotten, a ritual game to contact the dead.
Oh, yes, please.
Yeah. So the objective to this
Yes.
is that you, Suzie Priest, are trying to make contact with a forgotten spirit, one who's lost its name and identity. To do so, you must invite it to play a game of hide and seek.
Oh.
Offering yourself as the seeker.
Creepy.
No, there is only really two spaces to hide in here,
I
and
don't
that is
wanna
either under the
hide.
table or under that table.
Right.
So which one do you want?
So I'll hide under here,
We'll
shall
just
I?
hide under there, yeah. Midnight's ideal. Well, we're not going to do that, are we? What you have to do is get under the table, and then repeat after me, right?
Yeah, go on.
Oh, we need to ring a bell. Hang on.
Ding-a-ding-a-ding.
Let me find one on my phone. Oh God, what's happening down there?
Just I'm a bit stiff.
What's happening down there? Oh, this will be good for you then. Hang on. Right, what can we use? Fucking. You enjoying yourself? Right, repeat after me. I seek the one who hides.
I seek the one who hides.
Who lingers where the living forget.
Who lingers where the living forget.
I offer this token.
I offer this token.
Let us play.
Let us play.
I will seek.
I will seek.
You will hide. Oh, you're the seeker. Fuck's sake. You can get out from under the table now. We got it wrong. I will seek you. Oh no, so the ghost is going to be under the table.
Yeah, under your fucking...
Oh no.
Your knees.
I offer this token. Let us play.
Let us play.
I will seek.
I will seek.
You will hide.
You will hide.
Show me where the veil is thin.
Show me where the veil is thin.
It's not very.
Well, it's like
rhythmic,
that
is
Broken
it?
Veil podcast.
Ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling, ding-a-ling-a-ling, ding-ding-ling-ling-ling. Blow out the candle or turn off the flashlight. I haven't fucking turned it on. I'm going to turn it off and on. On, off, done. You might feel a chill or hear the whispers. And now you might hear a bell. Now check under the table. I can't be arsed.
I just see one of your sliders on its side.
Okay.
A sad sight
Didn't work.
for everyone.
Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
See you next week.
If you want more
for
bonus
part
episodes, go to
2.
www.patreon.com/ghosthunts. Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Goodbye.